So, Andy, as you know, in the fitness industry, we are really in the business of motivation, and this is a behavior that you really exemplify. So, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on with us today. We can't wait to hear a little bit more about what you're doing in this space. But before we dive into some of the specifics, tell us a little bit more about your background in the fitness industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for letting me join everybody today. The conversation about motivation are really people, right? Because the health club business is a people business and it's a hospitality business. And when you talk about motivation, how do you connect with those people? I love this stuff. So I'm super happy to be here and have the conversation with you. It's actually ironic. We're celebrating our 35th anniversary today. So literally
Wow.
today is the 35th anniversary of the Princeton Club being founded. It was founded by a local Madison native, my business partner, Dave Geary. And he just had a vision of improving people's lives. And he started with a commitment to excellence and a commitment to you, meaning the member that was joining. And so from the very beginning, it had a laser focus on the member and how do you create an experience that people want to be a part of what you're doing. And then that helps build their life. So it's a very important part to our business. And we started 35 years ago with one location. And right now we're up to 11 locations and still in the Wisconsin and Northern Illinois region with a huge emphasis of being an integral part of the communities that we serve.
Congratulations, first of all, 35th anniversary today. The timing is perfect.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that evolution? So like you said, you started at just one club, 35 years ago today, and now you've expanded to many other facilities in Wisconsin and Northern Illinois. What
Yeah.
has that journey looked like?
So we always grew when the right opportunities were there. We didn't try and grow to grow. We grew when the right opportunity to serve a community was presented to us. And ironically, I remember the first day I met Dave. So I've been with the company for almost 20 years now. And the first time I met him, we were rebuilding our first location. So we had an initial facility, and then we were moving it to a much larger, brand new facility. And I grew up the son of an athletic director. And so Dave was donating lockers to my dad's school, right? And so those lockers from the old club, we were pulling them out. And then, I was young at the time. So my dad enlisted me to help pull those lockers out, put them in a trailer, and go take them to a school that really needed them. Okay, so now I walk into this club, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, people pay money to come here? Like, this is incredible. And then I met Dave, and he had the highest character and integrity of anybody I've ever met in my life. And then I saw, right, the business that was serving the members, but then also, right, at the same time, lockers were being donated to help another area improve. And I was just like, this is what I want to be a part of. And that was almost 20 years ago. And that's kind of where it just really birthed of like, you can really make an impact. And so for us, it was always, how do you make an impact beyond just a business, right? And again, you go back to health clubs. I think they're one of the most unique opportunities of any business out there to really change people's lives. And that's what got me excited about it. And it birthed what now we have come to know as For Better Tomorrow. Okay, so if you see almost anything we do, it talks about For Better Tomorrow. And if I'm explaining my business strategy to people, it's pretty simple. It's that I want to create a better tomorrow. And where that came from was that we started to try and tell the different stories of our members, right? Because you talk about motivation, something that motivates people more than anything else is stories, right? A story of somebody else's journey of where they came from and where they are now. Stories make the biggest impact. And so we started trying to tell some of the different stories of our members. And so we tell the story, right, of the younger guy who worked out in the club every day and unfortunately had a heart attack, right? But because he was exercising, his heart he survived. And his doctor literally said, you are here today because you're exercising and you're taking care of your body. If you did not do that, you would not be here today. And so you tell that story. And then you tell the story of, the 75-year-old grandparent who still wants to be able to pick up their grandchild and play with them in the backyard on the swing set, right? Or my father-in-law who's chasing around my kids, shooting off rockets and they got to go chase them down. He wants the energy to be able to do that, right? But those are very different stories, and they relate to different people in different ways. Okay, so then we're like, well, what's the commonality of all of these different stories, right? Because okay, here's another one, right? A young mom needs a little break, right? They have lots of kids at home, or a young dad that has lots of kids at home, and they need a break to be able to, improve their own life and keep their energy levels up to chase after the kids, right? That's a different story. Well, what's the common theme in all of that? It's that if you come and exercise and take care of your body and your health, you're going to have a better tomorrow. Okay, and so there's three emphases for the For Better Tomorrow for us. One is that when a member joins, our goal is that they have a better tomorrow, right? And so for all those stories I just told you, if you come and exercise in one of our clubs, or any of the clubs, people that are watching, if you come and exercise and take care of yourself, we know you're going to have a better tomorrow, right? Statistically, you're going to lower all your major health risks. You're going to sleep better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to statistically live longer. You're going to be more involved in your community. You're going to be better for your family, better for your kids if you have kids. All of those things happen with regular exercise. And so that's our first emphasis of For Better Tomorrow, is that any member that joins our club, we want them to have a better tomorrow. And then the second one for me is for the staff. So at 11 locations, we have a lot of staff at this point. And my goal is that if anybody chooses to be employed at a Princeton club, is that we focus on building a better tomorrow for them. And whether that's establishing a career path for them to stay with us. Thankfully, we're very blessed. We have tons and tons of staff that have been with us for 20 plus years. So if that's building a career path for them, that's how we can help them create a better tomorrow. But otherwise, if it's also they work at the front desk or they work in towels for a couple of years for us, that at the end of that, they'll look back and say, man, those guys, they really cared about me. And they helped me grow as a person while I was there. And they can have a better tomorrow that way. And then the third one that I absolutely love is For Better Tomorrow for the community. So our goal is that wherever a Princeton Club or Peak Sports Club is located, that community will be better off because we're there. So every month we have a For Better Tomorrow partner that we're investing in, that is doing things like the food bank. So when somebody would exercise in our club this past January and February, that check-in at the club would donate to a local food pantry. So Second Harvest Food Bank in Madison was one of our longest partners. So it's really those three things, which is For Better Tomorrow for our members, that we know they can have a better tomorrow if they utilize our facilities and they exercise and they take care of themselves. For our staff, that they have a better tomorrow because they choose to work with us, and that the communities are better off because we're there. And so for me, if we can do all three of those things, right? I mean, think of that. If every health club focused on those things across the country, how much of an impact we'd make.
If there's one impact you've made through For a Better Tomorrow and that initiative and giving back, which one are you most proud of, or are there multiple?
It's a great question. I mean, it is hard to pick one, right? Because they all are really impactful. But I think, honestly, I would say the food donation one is the most impactful because it's kind of been a part of our DNA even before For a Better Tomorrow was kind of rolled out. I mean, we're almost we're in the millions of pounds of food that have been donated over the years. And so you think about the impact that that's had on our members exercising, but then the corollary of how much food was donated. Because, there's people there's a lot of us that need that at times in our life, right? And so to be able to make that big of a difference in the communities and make those donations has just been incredible. So from the community one, that one's probably the most impactful. And then from a personal one, I had a member come up and share their story of just the inspiration that provided in their own life, that they were challenging even with mental health. And they literally said, I'm here today because of the For Better Tomorrow. And so when I wake up in the morning, my For Better Tomorrow is that I'm still here and that I'm going after life and trying to get the most out of it. And I mean, I had tears coming down my eyes when he told me that story.
Love the story, Andy, and the passion that you tell it with is absolutely motivating. So I'll share exactly what Alice said here. I think just maybe to switch gears a little bit, and just recognize like the link that you've created with motivation and community impact is absolutely phenomenal. But really looking at members, and you talked about future members and setting up for a better tomorrow. What we know in the fitness industry is retention still plagues us, and that over a third of new joiners typically give up on themselves within their first 30 days of membership. So after you've successfully motivated a future member to come in, visit your facility and become a member, maybe what actions and steps do you have in place to ensure that they're engaged through their first 30 days or even past that of their new journey within your facility and brand?
Yeah, I mean, it's two things. One, it's connecting them with the people of the company, right? Because the treadmill is not going to do it, right? It has to be the environment that you create to get people to keep coming. So two things. One, it's telling the right stories, right? That provide motivation of like, okay, you're generally coming into the club with this goal. Well, let me tell you a story about another one of our members who joined in a similar environment to what or similar goal to what you have. And here's what she did, right? She joined Body Pump, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then on Saturday morning, she did swimming with this group. Let me connect you with the gal who teaches Body Pump and the person who does the swimming. And here's what she is. She's 6 months later, and these are the results that she's had. So telling stories that can be relatable to the new people that join is very, very important in my opinion, because after they take a tour and they see all the different things, they're going to forget 90% of what you just told them, right? But if you can help tell a story and do that new member journey of like, this is what it could look like for you, I think that's incredibly engaging. And then, like I said, you have to connect them with the staff, right? So if they're going to take group exercise class, make a recommendation to a particular class with a particular instructor if possible, right? Because now there's that connection of like, I'm going to go take Sally's class on Thursday night at 6 o'clock. That's way more motivating than I'm just going to walk around and see what happens, right? And you can't leave fitness to randomness. That's what I always tell people if somebody joins, like, this isn't going to be a random thing. Let's set at least 1 or 2 days a week that we know are coming in. The rest can be random, but if you leave it all to randomness, it will be that random. So that's step one. I think that there's a couple little things that we've done in the past 60 days, just as reference, is we did a challenge. If you worked out X amount of days in May, then you got free personal training sessions for June. So if you came into the club, more than 10 times in May, it created, a certain amount of free personal training sessions. If you did a higher amount, you got even more free personal training sessions. And so what it did is it encouraged people to come in and exercise, but then it also helped take that next step of connecting with a trainer so that they could continue that process and grow. Because at the end of the day, they have to get results. If you don't get results, if you're not getting something out of that experience, you're not going to keep doing it. So if you help facilitate getting results sooner, the longer they're going to be. In Group X, for example, we did, this one's kind of corny, but we did, bingo classes for group exercise, right? So you had your bingo card, and then if you took, if you got bingo by taking so many Group X classes, then you could turn it into the front desk for free prizes and things like that to reward the classes that you took. And that was to try and help expand the breadth of what people are participating in the club. And then the last one is one of my favorites, is we throw new member parties. So after you've been a member, we invite you and say, hey, come to the club and, free food and drink and meet everybody. And we want to say thank you. We want to help engage you in the club and make sure that things are going great in these first 60 days. And to me, everybody that shows up, it's just an absolute blast, because you're hanging out with the members, getting to hear their stories, sharing more stories, connecting them with your team that you're proud of, to say, we want to journey with you, right? And then even the people that don't end up coming to the parties, I think it's a great deal, a great thing for them, because they're like, hey, I got it. I'm doing great. Thank you. It shows value to the member, right? That says, hey, we really care about you. We want you to be successful. We want to meet you. But there will be some members that are like, I got it. I'm good, right? And they won't come, but that's totally fine. I'll give them, the air high five and let them get after it. So you kind of just have different ways to try and really care about somebody who just joined. And the better we can communicate that we genuinely want you to get where you want to be, and all of us are here to do that for you, the more likely they're going to be like, what, I really feel valued here, and I'm going to go get after it and get this done.
It's clear from the moment a future member walks in your doors, Andy, that you have the ability to create motivation, to help build connection, a sense of community in your clubs. And I think I used to call that making the invisible visible. So showing that future member the journey that they can and will have inside of your brand. Thinking in reflection, Andy, at some of your members that have been with you the longest, What offerings do they regularly engage into inside of your brand or even outside of your brand?
I think it's relationships, right? So I couldn't tell you too many members that have been in one club forever that have only done one thing over that journey, right? I mean, here's the cool thing is that we literally have some members that have been with us since we started 35 years ago. But I think it's the relationships. I think it's the fact that we offer a broad enough spectrum of ways for people to stay fit, that they can stay with us. And how they work out will change, right? Somebody who just joining a club, their workout program for the first 90 days will probably look different than it will 24 months later, recognizing that people, we have to cheer for them to be healthy, right? We don't have to just cheer for them to work out a certain way, right? And so if we can be the people cheering for them to be healthy and live that life that they're shooting for, to me, that builds a great health club. So I see health clubs as like your partner in living a better life. And so whatever way we can cheer for you to do that, we're going to do it. Even if it's outside the club, right? You don't have to work out every single time inside the club, right? Like, and sometimes people will be surprised. Oh, I'm going to go hiking outside, but I'll be at the club next week. And I'm like, no, that's great. Like, go get your hike. That's why we exercise in the club, is so we can go live our life, right? Like, I love to, be as flexible as possible so I can go play golf, right? It's one of the biggest motivations for me to be in great shape.
Kudos to you for embracing the consumer flexibility, right? That's something that has evolved in our industry over the years. And you've really been a leader in taking an approach, that hybrid approach to your business, Andy. So yeah, I would love to maybe, learn more about that, but kind of to set that up, just for everyone listening, what the hybrid approach really means is that you obviously focus on the pinnacle of programming solutions, which is instructor-led programming inside of your four walls. You also complement that with high-quality video on demand classes within your studio. And then you also allow the similar offerings for the flexibility at-home options for your members to really encompass that 360-degree offering. So I would love to learn more about like what was the biggest reason for that evolution in that model that you've brought to life here.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, again, just stems from like, how do we help people get success? How do we help people get their goals? The first hesitancy is always, well, what if somebody doesn't want to come take my class, because they have access at home? Well, I'm not worried about that, because you have to deliver an amazing Group X experience in the club, which is always unmatched in my opinion. When you walk into that studio and you have a great instructor, the music's pumping, right? Like, that's where you want to be. Like, I work out way harder when I'm in the club around people. The energy is there, and it's that social component, which again, we need more than ever, right? Is that connection to community. So step one is have amazing Group X classes in your club, right? But then the reality is people aren't always able to come to the club, and that's completely fine. So how do we help them still work out when their schedule's off a little bit, right? They have a different week, so they can't come in their regular times to work out. Well, having virtual in the club allows them to take a spinning class at 11 o'clock at night with one of their friends in the studio and still get an immersive, great experience in the club. But then what happens when they're traveling for work, or how do they still make their workouts happen then? Well, by partnering with you and developing incredible content where they can take on their vacation or in the summers when things change, right? But it allows that consistency, because again, it all gets back to, can fitness be random? And the answer is no. So if we can help fitness not be random and give as many access points for people to actually exercise, they're going to get results. And then if you can tie that back to your own brand, right? Then you associate the results with the brand, right? And that's where they're going to be loyal and connected to, because we've helped them actually get there. And I think people, that hybrid approach is the absolute right approach, because what's the other thing that we want? We want sustainability and longevity. I don't want to partner with you for 6 months. I want to partner with you for the next 20 years, right? In your fitness journey. And then your kids grow up and exercise in our clubs, right? So it's, don't play the short game, play the long game of fitness and lifestyle. And if you could improve your members' lifestyle and get fitness to be a part of their lifestyle, I think they're going to win in the long run because they're getting the goals of why they joined your club in the first place. So that's why it was an easy decision for me. People absolutely loved it. Obviously, when COVID was here, and that was traumatic for all of us, of how to keep exercising at home. And so that helped birth that I can do some stuff at home, but I've yet to really talk to too many people that are like, I just want to work out at home. Like I just don't think that's the long-term answer. I think it's this hybrid, have a place that is your hub for your fitness, which is your health club, and then all those other ancillary services to help keep you going.
I love that, Andy. And obviously, we share very similar missions, Princeton Club and Les Mills, we always look to be focusing on creating a fitter planet. And that's really just getting people to move and become healthy. And consumers want to do that in a lot of different platforms in a lot of different ways. And it's great to see that you've really been intentional in the way you create offerings to support those journeys of your members, both in and outside of the facility. So question for a follow-up for you, Andy, is what type of effect have you seen this hybrid approach towards the motivation of your members and obviously the engagement of the membership base?
I think it's helped people that are still nervous, coming back to make that step, right? To be like, here, we want to help you get in shape no matter how that looks for you. So that's what I think has been the greatest thing. And it's kind of exciting because everybody's, thankfully we're coming out of COVID here, but you can present and say, we got better in these past couple of years. We got better at serving you and helping meet your needs. So look at the program offerings that we have now, right? And I just like that part of being excited about it, because again, if you can't get excited about somebody who's about to join your club, they're not going to be successful. And so for us, it's been fun just to be able to say, look at all the ways we've improved to continue to help you get the results, because that's our goal. I've been in the business for almost 20 years. This has been my favorite part and favorite thing we've ever done. And it was over almost a year ago where it was still challenging, right? In terms of the state of the pandemic and different things. And we had a marketing group that was talking to us about like, hey, let's do a strategy session. And I'm like, I don't want to do a strategy session right now. Like, things are changing so fast right now. We're just trying to, be there for the members that are here. And it was just a really, really challenging time, right? And so there's just this question of like, well, what do you want to tell people? What do you want to tell people? And the traditional marketing conversations of try us free or we're open 24 hours a day, those types of things just didn't feel right in the state of where everything was, right? And we got to this point where we're like, you know what? They said, if you could tell anybody anything right now, what would you tell them? And we kind of looked and said, it would just be one word of encouragement and speaking life into everybody, whether they're a member or not. And it turned into this, what we called the inspiration campaign. And we came up with 5 words that we launched in December of 2021 that were persevere, believe, I can, rebuild, conquer. It was just probably one of the coolest experiences we've ever had, because we sat down and we all said, we're all going to go all in on this, right? And so we bought, in one of our markets, we bought 37 billboards. Actually, I got a billboard back here. 37 billboards. So there's one of them. That's actually the one that I saw, but I said, that's it. And so we had billboards. Every employee chose their word. They had T-shirts. We bought 20,000 wristbands to give to members. We told the stories of why our staff and why our members chose these words. And we just said, you know what? We just want to flood the market, whether you're a member or not, of just speaking life and encouragement over people right now in a season that's really hard. And it was absolutely incredible, because it motivated the staff, it motivated the members, it motivated people I'd never met before, of just in that time being like, you know what? I can persevere. I am going to overcome. I am going to conquer the challenges that are in my life, right? I can rebuild, right? And just this empowerment that was spoken over our region it was my favorite thing ever. And I'd actually run into some people, and they would tell me, like, there's these billboards out that says persevere and overcome. And she was battling literally in the hospital. And she was telling me, that she saw these billboards every day when she'd drive home from the hospital getting treatment. And then she didn't even know it was a Princeton Club ad at first. And then she's like, oh my goodness, that's a Princeton Club ad. And just tears started coming down her face. Right. And so I think for us in the health club industry, right, we had a really challenging couple of years. I think it was, one of the industries that was hardest hit. But if we can get back to the authenticity of who we are, right, which is believing in people and trying to encourage them to live their best life. So for me, for their better tomorrow, right, if we can encourage them to get connected in all forms of fitness, in the club, on the app, outside, right, that's what we got to get back to and focus on that authenticity of believing in people and cheering for people. And that will help move our industry forward and help each operator recover faster, in my opinion.
Thank you for sharing that story, Andy. I've had the privilege of hearing it one other time, and I've gotten goosebumps both times hearing it. And we're talking about motivation. And look, you've taken that to the next level, clearly, to develop a campaign that inspires, not just your members, but the community that you're serving. You're really taking action behind that. How will that now live and breathe inside of your organization moving forward?
So we're going to do it. We're actually going to do it every year. So we're going to choose 5 words that we just want to speak life and encouragement over the community and our members. And then when you walk in, you're just going to feel it. So, I mean, if you were to go into any of our clubs, it was everywhere, right? So our staff was holding signs. We had banners. I mean, you couldn't walk in the club and not feel that positivity spoken over you. So our goal is that we're going to continue to do that every year and roll it out. I mean, to be honest, we were trying to wind it down, right? Of like, okay, let's, start taking this. You don't have to wear the shirts anymore. And like, nobody wanted to stop. It's like, well, why aren't we wearing the shirts anymore? So we've kind of kept it going. So it's definitely become something that's part of our DNA along with the For Better Tomorrow brand promise.
Love that. Inspiration seems to be showing up daily inside of your club in a multitude of different ways. And we love hearing that. Maybe just to go back where we were around, your hybrid approach or 360 solution you offer to your members.
Yeah.
We know that, omni-channel, a lot of that's been, discussed throughout our industry over the last, 24 to 30 months. What advice would you give to other operators, Andy, that may still be resistant in adding and complementing their amazing world-class live experiences in the studio with, that 360 digital space?
Is find the right partner to work with, right? So a lot of us have had the conversation of, do you do it on your own or who do you partner with? And I think for us, it had to be excellent, right? And I didn't think we were going to have the capabilities to try and roll that out on our own. And so partner with the right people and do it. We have to be a solutions-based industry. And so the more solutions that we can provide for people, the better. And I guess some of this encouragement too, of like when we rolled out virtual classes in the club, it did not decrease attendance at all in the live classes, right? It actually helped bring more people into assisted exercise. And so that would be my motivation, is that if you're considering it, find the right partner. Obviously, Les Mills would be interested in talking to you about being the right partner. But find the right partner that you can provide that multi-pronged approach to helping people get results, because that's really what it has to be. It's only enhanced the in-club experience. Because I really think, not to, a couple of years down the road, the clubs that can really build the full ecosystem of joining within your brand will be the ones that can be really successful, right? Because again, it's going to get even more solutions based as we're able to track everything under the sun at this point. But so the companies that when you walk in, you can have that full package to provide for the member, the in-club experience that has to be amazing. Do that first. But then all these other things outside of the club, tracking your nutrition, building exercise programs. When you go for a run outside, I want you to be rewarded with a little pop-up on your phone saying, great run from the Princeton Club. You're 9 workouts away from hitting your goal this month. right? So that it's rewarding you and encouraging you, whether you're inside the club or outside the club. If you haven't moved in that omni-channel type solution, I just would recommend pursuing it and investigating it. Even if you don't do it right away, we kind of have to know how it operates so that we're prepared 24 months from now.
Great advice, Andy. For those tuning in and listening, we talk a lot here about the world-class programming and instructors, but also the facility and equipment that you have. So, with your intention of creating these spaces, how do these amazing spaces in your facility really help motivate both staff and members inside your club?
I guess the short answer is think of the last restaurant you went to, right? I mean, the food was great, but if it's a great environment, the food tastes better. Your facility has to provide that environment. And the interesting thing, you talk about recruitment for instructors, having beautifully designed spaces, the right equipment helps you keep great instructors. So I think that's paramount and very, very important. But, where you can send pictures in and get tips on how to redesign some of your spaces, and I would challenge all the operators listening to go take a picture or walk into your studio again and then be like, okay, is this as nice as I remember it? And there can be some simple things that you can do to upgrade what those studios look like that will go a long way. I mean, paint the ceiling black, right? Change a couple of the logos, the wall that's been the same color for 10 years. Let's change that, right? And that's been a process for us of being in business for 35 years. None of our facilities are that old, but you have to constantly say, how do I continue to refresh and update this to create those environments that will motivate members? Because it all matters, all of it.
Absolutely. And yes, we do support that here with Les Mills from a studio design. We know that's a top 3 element that engages members. And, one thing I would oppose to all the operators listening in today, when you walk into your studios, does it evoke the emotion that you want your members to have and something that's going to be memorable and like a desire to come back into those studios and continue to have these world-class experiences that are helping shape their lives and achieve their potential through fitness. Just kind of going through this, we talked about the motivation that's at the forefront of everything you do there at the Princeton Club. How do you actually now track the success that you're having with motivation and engagement of both members and obviously your team in that space?
Primarily lies in check-ins, right? So how many people are we getting to use the club on a regular basis and consistently? And then, with apps and all that stuff in terms of checking in for classes, you can track class attendance more and figure out, do you need to switch times or modalities? But a lot of it comes down to, tracking attendance and how many more people can we get to work out on a regular basis.
I am curious if you had one piece of advice for other operators when it comes to motivating not only your members, but also your staff, which you do an incredible job with, what would that be?
The simplistic answer of authenticity. So find out who you are and do that really, really well, right? Because all of our clubs are different. I think that's one of the greatest things about the health club industry, to be honest, is that it's not commoditized in terms of everything's not the same. We have a unique ability to be solutions in different communities across the country in an incredible way. So find out the authenticity of who you are, what fires your heart up in the morning when you wake up and you go into the club. Like, what are you trying to get after? And be really good at what you can uniquely deliver and do that at an extremely high level is probably my biggest recommendation. As business leaders, we're faced with challenges every single day, right? And you get to choose how you're going to face those challenges. And I'm trying to build that culture that we face those challenges by saying, well, how are we going to do this better tomorrow?